Good afternoon, class. Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are doing multiplication. We are doing unit 10, and you can see this lesson from page 53 of your textbook. Okay, so go to Learn section of your textbook at page 53, and you'll find this lesson over there. That is multiplication. Okay, so when we say multiplication, what comes into mind? So when we say multiplication, times comes into mind. Okay, so whenever you are dealing with times of this sign, it means that you are dealing with multiplication. I hope that is fine with you. Very good. Today we're going to look at some aspect of multiplication whereby we don't see our usual 4 times 3. Okay, so in most of our multiplication lessons or most of our multiplication exercises, you always find like this expression that you have there: 4 times 3, 2 times something, 20 times something. But today we have a different diagram that also deals with multiplication, so that you know how powerful multiplication is, so that you develop your techniques and your skill of understanding multiplications all the time. Okay, so let's look at our usual one. Our usual example: 4 times 3, which means we are counting 4 in 3-fold. Okay, so 4 times 3 is actually means 4 plus 4 plus 4. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 means 4 times 3. So this will give us 12, and 4 plus 4 plus 4 will also give us 12. So this is what we know about multiplication. Now let's look at our chart here. This chart, we have 5 here, we have a square here. We need to find what number is here. We have 3 here, we don't know what number is here. We have 4 here, we don't know what number is here. Anytime that you have a chart that you are dealing with, or you have a diagram that you are dealing with, my advice is that don't assume. Please find the instruction that relates to your diagram, and then read the instruction. The instruction is going to tell you exactly what you are supposed to do with that particular diagram, or that particular table, or that particular chart. So when you look at this, where do we see an instruction? We see an instruction below over here. So first we have to read our instruction and understand what the instruction is saying. Then we go back into our diagram, and then we find answers, or we find solutions to our diagram. Okay, good. So what does the instruction say? Instruction is saying that the product of the 2 circles on each line is the number in the square. So let's try to understand what the instruction is saying. The instruction is saying the product. So what is the product? The product is this. Okay? So this is what we call the product. When you multiply 2 or more numbers, the answer that you get is what we call the product. Okay, so now we understand product. So we go back to our problem of the day. So the product of 2 circles, where are the circles? We have circle here, we have circle here, and we have circle here. But it says 2 circles. That means if you take 3 and 5, you multiply, because we are looking for the product. So the product of 2 circles on each line, so these are the line, okay, each line, on each line is the number of the square. That means the product of 5 and 3 will be the number here. The product of 5 and 4 will be the number here, and the product of 3 and 4 will be the number here. So this is the way that you can use to understand any diagram or chart whenever you have it. Don't forget, read the instruction, understand the instruction before you attempt to solve the problem. Don't just assume that I see this here and I want to quickly do that, okay? Very good. So now that we know the instruction says that this is the product of the two numbers here. So the product means you are multiplying, okay? When you multiply two numbers, the answer that you get is what we call the product. That means 3 multiplied by 4 will give us 12. So we'll have 12 here. So 12 is going to be the answer here. Now 4 and 5, when you multiply 4 and 5, you're going to get 20. So you put 20 there as your answer. The next thing is 3 and 5. So 3 and 5 will give us 15. Very easy, okay? It's very easy because we first read the instruction and we use the instruction to guide us to find solution to our problem on our chart, okay? Okay, now let's look at this chart. This chart is not having any written instruction, but it's having some instruction in numbers and in signs. So we have to understand signs as much as we understand instructions in words. In this diagram, we start from the top. We have 2 times, so which means something times 2. The arrow or the line is going this way. That means all numbers going on this direction are multiples of 2. Or you multiply the numbers by 2 and then you have all the numbers going on this direction. So if you look at the table, you see that we have 1 here. When you multiply 1 by 2, you have 2. When you multiply 2 by 2, you have 4. Okay, so if the table is to continue, we have to multiply 4 by 2 and then we have the answer. The answer that you get, you multiply by 2 and then you have the answer. So all numbers going on the row, okay, going from left to right, you multiply them by 2. Now if you look at this side, we have times 4. That means all numbers coming down, you have to multiply them by 4. So we start from the top. 1 multiplied by 4, you have 4. 4 multiplied by 4, you have 16. Right? So you check here. 2 multiplied by 4, you have 8. 8 multiplied by 4, you have 32. 4 multiplied by 4, you have 16. 16 multiplied by 4, you have 64. So numbers going from top to down, you multiply by 4 because this is the arrow. The arrow says all numbers going down. And this one, the arrow says that all numbers going from left to right. So please, students, whenever you are dealing with a multiplication, you have to read your instruction or you have to follow the signs that is instructing you. We can put instruction in words or we can put instruction in signs, okay? So this is an instruction in words and this is an instruction in signs. Good. Now let's move quickly into our first activity on our multiplication topic for today. Please, you are supposed to do exercise on pages 53, 54 and that of 55. You are supposed to answer all questions on that particular exercise and you can find that exercise at the learner's book session. I'll see you in our second video. Students, welcome to our second video. On the second video, we're going to do one more example for you to see how multiplication actually works in a different aspects when you have a different situation, okay? The first one, we did some charts whereby we have to know how we can use written instruction or we can use sign instruction. So again, we are looking for the product, okay? When we say the product is the answer of multiplying 2 or more numbers together, okay? So over here we have 15 multiplied by 5, which is 15 times 5. Okay, so when you have any equation of this kind and you feel like the numbers are too big for you to deal with. What you are advised to do is to expand it, okay? To expand means to break it into pieces so that dealing with it becomes very easy for you. So we have 15 multiplied by 5. So we put our 5 here, which is the multiply. We have 15. So 15 is made up of 10 and 5. So we put our 10 and then we put our 5 here, okay? So this is 15 and this is 5. 5 multiplied by 10 will give us 50, and 5 multiplied by 5 will give us 25, okay? So now you have 50 and that of 25. When you put the two together, it's going to give you 75. That means 15 multiplied by 5 is equal to 75. So this is also one aspect that you can also use to do your multiplication, okay? So please don't forget all the different ways that we have used to solve our multiplication equations. Okay, so we'll go to our second activity, which is our task 2. It's really simple. You are doing exercise on page 40. You are supposed to complete the calculations, and the calculations are basically related to this example. So with this example, it's going to help you to do your calculation. Please make sure that whatever that you do on this exercise, you keep it in mind, you don't forget, okay? So find it at Skills Builder section. It's only one question. I'll see you in our third video. Hello students, welcome to our final section on our lesson multiplication. This has been a lesson from Unit 10 and page 53, okay? In our sections, I try to take you through some of the questions that you might meet when you are dealing with multiplication, okay? So in multiplication, we always know that it is a number times a number times a different number, and you see the multiplication sign as times. But in situations whereby you have to read an instruction to identify the element or the component of multiplication, you have to always read the instruction carefully so that you can always know how you have to identify your multiplication element in the equation that you are supposed to do. So on this example, we did that we are multiplying these two numbers, and the product is the answer that we have here. So we multiply the two numbers on the line, and then we put the answer in the square as is stated here. On this chart, we looked at the arrow and the indication that comes on the arrow. That means multiply by 2. So all numbers going from left to right, we have to multiply them by 2. And all numbers coming downwards, we have to multiply them by 4. Okay, so this is a chart or a table that came with instruction in the form of a symbol, not in written. Okay, so this is how you should identify. The last thing that we did is that whenever you have a multiplication equation and you feel like the numbers are big, please, you need to expand them. Expanding them means you make them in smaller bits, and then afterwards you put them together. So example, we have 15 multiplied by 5. So if this is big, what you have to do is that you have to spread your 15, because 5 is just 5. So 15 is made up of 10 and 5. So we have our 10 here, and then we have our 5 here. So when we multiply our 5 by 10, we have 50. We multiply our 5 by 5, we have 25. So when we have our 50 and 25, we can then put the two together. We can add them, and then we have 75. That means when you multiply 15 by 5, your answer is going to be 75, right? Okay, so this is all for today, but we need to have our homework, and I will sound this word of advice to students who are not submitting their homework, that they are going to lose some points when it comes to the final end of term exam. So please Everyone should try and finish homework and send to me so that I can check for you and get your full score, okay? You can see your homework on the exercise page 32, 34, and that of 35. Please, you are answering questions 1, 3, 4, 5, and that of 6. You find this homework at the challenge book part of your textbook. Thank you for joining this section. I hope to see you next week. Enjoy, stay at home, and good luck.